This year is Boom Studios' Go-Go Power Rangers comic issue number 22. Necessary Evil continues, and this issue begins with Jason fighting Tommy in the Dark Dimension as seen in the Green with Evil arc of the original TV series. This serves as an expansion to what we already know from the TV show. We see the Rangers in another part of the command center discussing whether they should get Tommy to join their team. It's the kind of discussion you'd have in reality. In the TV series it was much simpler, as Jason just destroyed the Sword of Darkness and then asked Tommy to join, and everyone was okay with that. The comic explores the divisions in letting Tommy join the team. Billy and Kimberly acknowledge just how powerful Tommy is under Rita's spell, while Zack and Trini think Tommy could easily switch back to Rita's side. Ultimately, the Rangers look at Jason. As the leader, he needs to decide whether Tommy can join the team if they break the spell Rita has on him. Well, I think we know how that goes because obviously Tommy does end up joining the team. Back to the present, and we pick up where we left off last time, with the blue emissary of the Morphin Masters at Jason's house. So Jason doesn't know who he is because his memories of the Shattered Grid events were lost. He tries to fight the emissary, but the emissary has the upper hand. Jason's told that when the timelines were restored, morphin energy seeped through the cracks in the universe, therefore altering individuals across the galaxy. So basically that's what's going on in the main comic, and that's why Jason is being recruited by the emissary here. The emissary wants Jason to lead. In my previous video for the main comic, I wondered if Zordon knew about Jason's off-world mission. Here we learn that he doesn't. The emissary wanted Jason to depart in secrecy, as approaching Jason alone already threatened the integrity of the restored timelines. Jason has his doubts about leading the emissary's forces because he feels responsible for Tommy losing his Green Ranger powers, so it looks like the emissary is going to restore Jason's memories. At the command center, Billy is talking with Alpha and Zordon about restoring Tommy's Green Ranger powers. Alpha tells Billy they've carried out every possible scan on Tommy's power coin, but there's no way to recharge it in its current form. Billy wants to press on, and Zordon says that they're scanning for Rita's location because she may have the knowledge on recharging the power coin. Billy then desperately thinks to put Kimberly's Firebird Thunderzord into orbit to extend the signal area. Zordon then interrupts Billy and tells him to go home. My thoughts on this are, it's tough to see Billy acting this way. It's funny though how Zordon just tells him to go home, and then we see Billy lash out as he asks Zordon why he won't listen to him. He immediately apologizes, but we know why Billy is acting out of character. Billy used to be scared of being a Power Ranger, but has since embraced it, thinking it was the best thing to happen to him. He saw how easily it was for Tommy to lose his Green Ranger powers, so he's afraid his Blue Ranger powers could be taken away from him and the other Rangers. Next, we move to the park and we see Kimberly practice her gymnastics to a small crowd. Matt is there and the two start a conversation. So things are good between them. They're no longer together, but it's clear they've reconciled and remain good friends. It was a bit ambiguous in previous issues, but this has certainly clarified the situation between them. As they start to walk, Matt tells Kimberly he hopes that Tommy's okay. Kimberly asks why he wouldn't be, so Matt tells her he managed to work it out himself. Tommy arrived in Angel Grove, and the Green Ranger shows up, then the two of them start dating. In some ways this is funny because that logic is just so simple and true, and yet nobody else in the Power Rangers universe worked that out. As Matt and Kimberly part ways from this scene, Matt tells Kimberly that if she ever wants to talk to someone about not normal things, she can trust him. On to the moon now, and there's an explanation here for why Lord Zedd doesn't use Finster's clay monsters, but transforming his enemies into monsters instead. The reason is because clay monsters are meaningless. By turning something Zedd's enemy loves, to corrupt it, to defile it and turn it against them, Zedd wins even if he loses the battle. It's a simple explanation, and at the same time it answers the question of why Lord Zedd chose not to use Finster's monsters in the TV show. On to Trini and Zack, and we see them volunteering. This offers a bit more insight as to why the Rangers may have volunteered on the TV show. Back then, we assumed the Rangers were near perfect. They always did good by volunteering and helping people out. Here, Trini explains she likes volunteering because it gives her something tangible to focus on, to cope with everything. By volunteering, she can see the result of the work that she does. When she's a Ranger fighting in the Megazord, she's focused on buildings the Megazord may have crashed into. By working with the kids on community gardening or taking care of pets, she feels they regain a sense of normalcy and control. She has a point. If you were crazy enough to stay in Angel Grove in real life, a city that was always under attack from giant monsters, you'd want things to be normal. Now, we've already seen Lord Zedd's logic for why he chooses to turn the things his enemy loves into monsters. So we see Squat reaching for the rabbit Trini was petting earlier. And in classic Lord Zedd monster creating style, there's an explosion, knocking Zack and Trini away to reveal Zedd's latest creation against the Rangers, War Bunny. Now, this part is rather funny because Zack wonders why War Bunny sounds Austrian. Obviously, in the TV series, we'd have been able to hear that, but in the comic, we have to assume Zack was making a reference to someone like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm not certain why War Bunny is supposed to sound Austrian, but I'm guessing it's to do with his build being similar to that of Schwarzenegger. The new threat means the Rangers need to go into action, so Trini tells Zack to make sure the kids are clear, while Alpha prepares to teleport all of them out safely. More fun and reasoning here, as Billy says a warrior rabbit is a great idea because they have 360-degree vision and can leap almost 8 times their body weight. And then Zordon cuts him off. So other than to turn things Zedd's enemy loves into nightmares, there is some logic to his creations. Well, certainly in this case anyway. Jason cannot be reached, so only Zack, Kimberly, Billy and Trini morph into action. Despite the Rangers summoning their power weapons, War Bunny seems to have the advantage with his large weapon. Billy tries to attack with the power lance, but the War Bunny easily knocks Billy away. Lord Zedd is watching the battle from the moon, and as Squat asks what's going to happen when the Red Ranger shows up, Zedd just tells his lot to be quiet, because he wants to enjoy the Ranger's final moments. He's certainly living up to the early Lord Zedd of the TV series, where he was a menacing villain. He was toned down a bit after complaints came in from parents during the original run of the TV series. So it's good to see that the comics retain the menacing aspect, instead of injecting comedy into him. War Bunny turns out to be Lord Zedd's greatest creation yet, as the power of War Bunny seems overwhelming. He uses the rabbit aspect Billy mentioned earlier and leaps into the air, raising his weapon. The Rangers watch and Zack says he saw this in a movie once, as War Bunny comes back down, smashing his weapon into the ground, causing the ground to explode beneath the Rangers. Even though I don't like it when the Rangers make fun comments in battle, I have to admit, I did like it when Zack said he saw the move in a movie once. Because it's likely to be the scene in Avengers Infinity War when Thor arrived in Wakanda. Anyway, the Rangers are clearly in trouble and Kimberly has had enough. Apparently she was going easy on War Bunny, as it was Mr. Lopsy, the rabbit after all. She fires arrows at War Bunny, but they're repelled. War Bunny's attack on the Rangers continue, so Zack hopes that Jason will show up soon. But the reason Jason's not shown up is because he's incapacitated. He's on the ground with a surge of red energy coming from his eyes. That's where this issue comes to an end. I guess Jason is in pain as he remembers everything from the Shattered Grid events. This was an enjoyable issue because there were several lines which provided some reasoning to the actions of the characters in the TV series. They weren't necessary, but they're good explanations if you wanted to understand why the characters acted the way they did in the TV show. I also liked how Matt and Kimberly were able to have a normal conversation again following their breakup. And as Necessary Evil takes place in both the main comic and Go-Go Power Rangers, I like how this is setting up Jason, Zack and Trini as the Omega Rangers in the main comic.